Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. In the last time we met, we were discussing Ma'anil Mujibat lil Ghusl, those things which make Ghusl Waajib. So we discussed in the last meeting that one of the things that make Ghusl Waajib is the emission of sperm. Inshallah, as we go through the sabak a bit further, we will give you exactly what is the definition of sperm, right? So when the sperm, and according to Imam Abu Hanifa, the sperm must come out with force and must come out with lust. There are two conditions found, right? So, and it does come out with lust and sperm, both when it separates from its original receptacle and also when it leaves the body. So, if when it leaves the testicles and there is lust and force, but when it comes out from your actual body, there's no lust and there is no force, and it will not be wajib. That was according to Imam Yusuf. Remember, so the so you'll ask yourself, what is the samaratul ikhtilaf? What's the benefit of the ikhtilaf? The benefit of the ikhtilaf, if somebody ties his front organ or he pinches it, and after climaxing, he holds it till his body settles down, and then he releases it. Then according to Imam Muhammad, it never comes from place, it never exits from both places with last and force, and ghusl will not be wajib, right? So that was according to Imam Yusuf. I told you normally in Taharat and Ibadat, we always give fatwa to Imam Muhammad. And if you sharp and you've been following the lesson, you will notice that always Imam Hanifa, he's giving his fatwa is always on ihtiyat in his caution. And because as believers, our primary objective in this life is to worship Allah Ta'ala, so we are extra caution. So most of the time we take the fatwa of Imam Hanifa, right? That's the first thing we start. Right? So I told you sometimes maybe at the time of need, you can practice on Imam Yusuf's call. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if you maybe it was ice cold and you went camping and there's no ghusl facilities, there's no hot water, then you practice on Imam Yusuf's call, you tie it up whatever you sleep, and then you when you wake up you make istinja. But just to be careful, you read it namaz again when you have access to hot water, right? That is what we discussed. Then we discussed the next thing we discussed also. I told you that many people under the misconception that this a wet dream or certain inzal example can only be for men. No, for women it can happen also. So if a woman is in a wakeful state and she is excited, or she looked at something wrong, whatever, or she saw somebody and she got excited, and as a result of that excitement, she felt like she's climaxing, and something came out, it came onto her underwear or panty line. Easy. Or even if it happens in sleep, a person sees a dream, a lady also for men or women, you see a dream, and in the dream you are climaxing, and after the dream you see there is some wetness, not just wetness, but it's the strong. Inshallah, as we go to the sabak, there will be more explanation with regard to that. Then also, ghusl will become wajib. So that is basically the crux of what we discussed in our last meeting, right? That covers everything there, right? I did actually just repeat it because quite a few people from the online people were not here on Saturday. We done on Friday, né? So I repeated for the benefit of those people who are not here. But it covers everything, right? So now the next masla, okay. Yeah, the next one is this here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْتِقَاءُ الْخِتَانَيْنِ مِنْ غَيْرِ إِنْزَالٍ. And the meeting of the two circumcised places even without climaxing. I repeat that. The meeting of the two circumcised places even without climaxing. The first thing here is why is it referred to as a meeting of the two circumcised places? We know obviously that for men to circumcise, that's a very, very strong sunnah, right? But the circumcision of the woman, other madhab are more strict upon it. In fact, the Shafi madhab is more strict upon it. I'm not sure if the Shafis in our country practice upon it, but it is, I think in the Hanafi madhab, the most for the lady circumcision is mustahab, is not more than that, right? So when we hear female circumcision, we often misunderstand. And you see, I told you before, I used to speak a lot with this chat, with this Quran only people on the chat. They say, "Do you believe in female circumcision?" They confuse female circumcision with female mutilation. It's called female genital mutilation. In some parts of the world, like in Africa and all this type of thing, they do some funny things where they stitch up a woman's private organ, they cut off the clitoris, or sometimes they stitch you up so you remain chaste, and just before marriage they cut you open and all of that. It has no basis in Islam. It is haram. It's not permissible. The most, from an Islamic point of view, which is when we speak about several subjects, I'm just touching briefly on it, is on the clitoris. It also has like a little, like how on a male organ, you have a skin over the front. In the female, you also have a skin on the clitoris on top. And to remove that skin, and if you remove that skin, then there's a lot of nerves there that are exposed, and a result of that, jima become alaz, etc., more pleasurable. There's also mentioned the hadith, the clear hadith of Nabi Sallallahu. So do not misunderstand female genital mutilation with the sunnah concept of circumcision. It is poles apart. It's totally different things. It is not mutilation where you're cutting big portions of the female's private organ away, or you're stitching up when you nothing like that. So, in fact, this is more healthy from the Islamic part. It is more pleasurable for a married person, etc. But anyway, that's a separate subject matter. So the point is the fact that Nabi Sallallahu referred to the private organ as circumcised places means what? That it's good. You should circumcise it. If it was not mandated, or if it was not acceptable to to circumcise the male, okay, the male everybody accepts it. But if it was not something that was established in Sharia that you must that the female must be circumcised, Nabi also wouldn't make reference to it as a circumcised area. You understood? So the fact that Nabi also make reference to the female organ as being a circumcising shows you that there is some type of merit, there is some type of benefit. And there's another hadith that here, although as I said, the Hanafis, they're not so strict on this. I think the most they say it's mustahab. That's a separate discussion. So the next thing, I told you, the next thing that makes ghusl wajib is when the male organ and the female organ meets. Although the word here is iltiqa, means meet, but it's not just meeting. Come again, I'm not sure. Come again, loud. No, the denouement is khitan. No. Khitan is where there's an actual skin that's cut off from the clitoris. Also, like the clitoris is also like a male's organ, exactly the same, but it's very, very small. And it also have an extra skin on top. When the skin is removed, and that is what you say the established Islamic circumcision, right? So here, the word says iltiqa, just when the male organ and the female organ meet, then ghusl become wajib. But actually, it's not just the meeting of the male organ, the female organ. That in technical terminology is called mubasharatun fahishatun, right? It just if the male organ is rubbed against the female organ without entering, it's called mubasharat fahisha. And I think there is some reference to that masla there. We will discuss that later on. So what is iltiqa al-khatanain? Here in the next hadith actually explains it. بقول عليه السلام, that because Nabi Sallam explained إذا التقى الختانان, when the two circumcised, now this is our proof. First we got there, when the two circumcised portions meet. Circumcised meat, even if there's no ejaculation. What's our proof for this? Why he says here? Because there is ikhtilaf. There's some ulama say that if there is dukhul, that means the male organ enters the female organ, and there's no inzal, there's no ejaculation, then ghusl does not become wajib. But here, according to the Hanafi madhab, even though there's no ejaculation, we say inzal, we mean ejaculation. Even though there's no ejaculation, ghusl will still become wajib. And this is, remember the masala about wudu. We said that the actual thing that breaks wudu is what? When najasat is expelled from your body, right? But when you're sleeping, there's no najasat expelled from your body. How come your wudu broke? Why does your wudu break? Why is your wudu nullified by mere sleeping? The reason why your wudu is nullified by mere sleeping is because we're not sure if najasat escaped from your body or not. So so when you sleep, normally your body becomes loose, especially when you're sleeping with your back, your posterior lifted up from the ground, your body becomes loose. And because your body becomes loose, it's very possible that some najasat could escape from your body. Riyah would escape from your body. So we're not sure when it came out. So we attribute the nullification of the wudu to the sabab, which is sleeping. You understand what I'm saying? Because most probably when you sleep, the riyah is going to come out of your body. So this is the exact same thing. When there is dukhul, then most of the time there is inzal. So the cause is what? Dukhul. And the result is inzal. So we attributing the hukm of ghusl to the sabab of inzal, which is dukhul. And the reason why they're saying we do that, I told you, because like I told you, when a person sleep, we're not sure whether the riyah came out or not, right? So we attribute it to the sleep because we're not sure. So same thing, many a times there could be dukhul and there is inzal, but the person doesn't even know there's inzal. Why? Because maybe it was qillat money, maybe his body produces very, very little sperm, or maybe he just got married, still doing it 2 times a day, 5 times a day when he just got married. So little sperm came out. So he didn't know whether the sperm came out or not. So we attribute that to the act of dukhul. Similar like how we attribute the breaking wudu to the sleeping. While it is actually the khuruj riyah, the wind that comes out that breaks the wudu. But because the actual cause is hidden, the actual cause is hidden, and we don't know what's the actual cause, so we attribute it to the external, more apparent cause. For example, simple example, to understand this, maybe your son, he goes to a certain place and there's somebody's a bad influence there. He's joining five groups of people, a group of five people, right? But not all of them are bad influence. Two of them are bad influence, but you don't know exactly which two. So you say, look here, that people they're all not naughty. Some of them, but I don't know which is the two that's influencing you. Rather, you don't go there and fall to those people because I'm not sure which is the two. So just stay away from them completely. The same thing, but it's the exact same thing saying like this. With regards to the wind story, it is actually the wind which breaks your wudu, not the sleeping. But we're not sure when the wind came out, so we just attribute the breaking of your wudu to sleeping. So same thing here. It is actually supposed to be inzal, the ejaculation, the coming out of sperm with lust and force that breaks your ghusl. But many a times it happens when there is dukhul, that the private of the male enters the female, but we're not sure now whether inzal took place. According to the kitab here, many a times the inzal take place, but we don't know because a person maybe little money came in, maybe was doing it 5 times in one day, so still little money came in, he didn't feel coming out. So we attribute it to the outer apparent cause, not to the exact cause, because we don't have sufficient information with regards to the actual cause. Are you with me? So see, follow. So firstly, the Qawli alayhi salam, that is I told you everything has got a textual evidence and some got a logical evidence. لقول سلام إذا التقى الختانان. Yeah, make it khatanani, but that makes sense. You got khitanani. When the two circumcised portions meet, وغابت الحشفة, and the hashafa. Now, this is also important. We're saying there's dukhul. Many masail depend on this also, so I'll explain it to you in detail. What is dukhul? When we say there's intercourse in Sharia, what exactly is intercourse? There's a few masail that depend on this, and I'll tell you what the masail. For example, if a woman got 3 talaks, she got 3 talaks, and then and that man must make dukhul with her for her to become halal for her first husband. You with me? So what is dukhul exactly? I'll give you another masla. If you, okay, not this one about the mahar. So yeah, in order for this, there's another masla I'll give you why you have to know what dukhul is. If somebody witnesses, they see somebody making zina, they must not just they're holding or the kissing. So you must witness, I saw the actual dukhul. Then only, if 4 people saw it, then the had, the punishment of zina will come. That's 100 lashes. So what? So there it comes in the kutubul fiqh. 4 people must say, like how we saw the stick of the surma stick going into the surma bottle. If they say we saw it like that, then that is a valid testimony. So you see that so here also, when we speak about dukhul, what do we mean by dukhul? Like I mentioned to you earlier, if the male organ and the female organ just rub together, that's called mubasharat fahisha. And there also there's ikhtilaf. The Hanafi madhab say if there's mubasharat fahisha, just rubbing together, and there's no inzal, ghusl doesn't become wajib. Right? Although the Malikis, I remember, I think it will come in the kitab later, the Malikis say there is ghusl. And what is their reason? The same reason the Hanafis use here. They say, look here, that like how I said, when something results in something, then definitely we'll attribute the hukum. So they say, mubashar the fasha, rubbing the male organ female like together with pressure, it normally results also in inzal. So we'll say as the inzal took place, so ghusl become wajib. But that's not the Hanafi explanation. The Hanafi says either there must be inzal, like how we discussed earlier, or either dukhul. Now, what is dukhul? Dukhul means this year. As I said, there's a few masal that depends on dukhul, so you have to know what dukhul means. You see, it comes in the kitab like on a male organ, on top first you get the skin, which is removed. And after you remove the skin, there's like a gland there. It's like it is now, you can say it's bigger than the rest of the organ. So that is like a gland, right? Now, maybe even, I don't know if you saw ever, you get the security sticks, they have a baton. You ever saw that baton? At the end, there's like a knob there, so to say. So when that knob disappears, you can't see that knob. So just rubbing together doesn't mean there's no hole. When that is called, in Arabic, it's called al-hashafatu. What is it called? So if somebody is looking, for example, and is looking, and he sees the hashafa is disappeared, he can't see the hashafa, means that the hashafa went in, you can't see, then that is dukhul. So until there's no ghaibubat the hashafa, then we'll say there is no dukhul. So same masla I was telling you, if a woman was talaq, 3 talaqs, Allah Ta'ala protect, then in order for her to become halal, Quran says, hatta tankiha zawjan ghayra, she not become halal for her first husband until she does not marry another second husband, and he must also make dukhul with her. So, the Quran verse also say, what is hatta zawjin ghaira, and then he makes dukhul with her. So until that doesn't happen, she does not become halal for her first husband. So there's it in the kitab. وَغَابَتِ الْحَشَفَةُ to see. So this is the textual evidence to say that there must be dukhul, and that is ghaibubat hashafa, the gland at the end of the main organ, or you can call it the knob, whatever, in simple words, or in medical terminology, the gland that must disappear. See there. إذا التقى الختانان, when the two circumcised portions meet, وغابت الحشفة, and the gland disappears from sight, وجب الغسل, ghusl become wajib, أنزل أو لم ينزل, whether there was ejaculation or not. Clear hadith, and that's what the Hanafis practice upon, right? Then this is now the logical reason I told you that why do we say ghusl become wajib when the hashafa disappear? Because generally, when there is ghaibu, but the hashafa, it results in inzal, and we don't know when to proceed. لأنه سبب للإنزال, because دخول الحشفة or غيبوبة الحشفة سبب للإنزال. It is a cause for inzal. Right? وَنَفْسُهُ يَتَغَيَّبُ عَنْ بَصَرِهِ. And this actual thing, it is hidden from our sight. We don't know. Right? So we don't know. Nafsu means the actual inzal is hidden from our sight. We can't see that where the inzal took place. Then you some say, okay, but then you can ask the guy if he had inzal or not. He said, no, sometimes it's confusing. وَقَدْ يُخْفَى عَلَيْهِ. The actual inzal, it is hidden from the man itself sometimes. Or it's hidden from the woman even. Sometimes the woman will say, nothing happened even. She didn't know everything. She don't feel anything. Say, what happened? Right? So وَقَدْ يُخْفَى عَلَيْهِ. And it's also hidden alayhi, upon the man. Why? لِقِلَّتِهِ. Because of maybe the sperm is very less. Maybe he's weak, or maybe he's not eating the right food, or maybe I told you kasrat or whatever. So فَيُقَامُ مَقَامَهُ. So the ghaibub al-hashafa, it will take the place of the inzal, because there's something we know, there's something we can see. So in the next verse, one say, وَكَذَا الْإِلَاجُ فِي الدُّبُرِ. And like that, if a man's hashafa also disappeared in the back passage of a woman, obviously this is haram, it is outright haram. All the madhab, all four madhabs among the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they all say it's haram. Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki. In fact, there's a hadith that says that Allah Ta'ala does not look at mercy at a man who enters his wife from the back passage, from a medical point of view. It is totally unhealthy, because the back passage has not been designed for that. Tears, and which is a cause of illness, bacteria, and also it's painful, it's humiliating. That's a separate subject. We will discuss that. We'll discuss another time. Interesting here, all the madhaib of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at don't allow it. The only people that allow it are the Shias. The only people that allow it are the Shias. But anyway, it's haram also. It is haram. But if a person done it, it is haram. Listen nicely. If it is haram, but if a person done it, he entered his own wife, or maybe even in a haram manner, with a strange woman, he entered her from the back passage, and also there was ghaibuba, the hashafa, the gland disappeared. Then they also will say ghusl will become wajib. Anzala aw lam yunzil. Anzala aw lam yunzil. Aw lam yunzil. Whether there was inzal or not. Why? Likamari sababiyati. Because remember in this bab, what are we doing? We're attributing ghusl to the sabab of inzal, not to the zal. And entering a woman from a back passage is also normally a cause for inzal. You understand what I'm saying? When a man enters a woman in a back passage, then generally it is also aroused and also he has inzal. So it's a full cause for inzal. So we're attributing the ghusl to not to where it's difficult to know about the inzal, we're attributing it to the cause of the inzal. Are you with me so far? Right. Then I say, وَيَجِبُ عَلَى الْمَفْعُولِ بِهِ احْتِيَاطًا. So the question will come about, you say, yeah, if a man enters a woman in the back passage, whatever, and she was no inzal from her, does ghusl become wajib upon her? Yes. Why? Because out of caution. Because remember, we told you the Babul Taharat, the Babul Ibadat is based on total caution, right? بخلاف البهيمة ما دون الفرج. If a person, na'udhu billah, this is haram, obviously, but I see, if you look at the news, you see it's being legalized in the Western countries, etc. If a person, now some people have illness, sicknesses, called bestiality, he entered an animal in besides the farj, like the front organ, then there we say ghusl does not become wajib. Why? Because it is not normally a cause for a person to have inzal. It is not normally for a person to have inzal. So remember, we're only at the reducing ghusl to inzal and the cause of inzal, to inzal and the cause of inzal. So to enter an animal from the front breast is not a cause of inzal. So if somebody done that, it is not from, we'll say ghusl not be wajib. Why? لأن السببية ناقضة. Because the cause for inzal is not found completely. It's not a normal person, a normal, natural, sane person. If he enters into an animal besides the front page, then obviously he won't. What is besides the front passage? What is besides the front passage? So he entered the back passage of an animal or something like that. So the sabab is incomplete there. As a result of that, ghusl won't become wajib. Unless just if there's inzal, then ghusl will become wajib. What you got there? Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, jazakallah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I was telling you this book has been prepared from thought. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. Bikhilaf is here. I don't have that there. So what is saying? Bikhilafil wa ma you got yeah. Bikhilafil bahimati wa ma dun perfect. Jazakallah. Makes perfect sense. Otherwise, I was spinning also there. That means if the way it's written here is that if you put it into the farj of an animal, then your ghusl becomes wajib. That's what it means. Bikhilafil bahimati ba dun al farj. See that the way it's mine is written there. If a man puts his private organ into the farj, like a female animal, then ghusl will become wajib on it. But that's wrong. So what I'm saying, so if I put ma there, jazakallah, it makes perfect sense. That makes so if you put a man put his private organ into an animal, in an animal, anywhere in an animal, whether it is the front passage or the back passage, there's no ghusl. Wa ma dun al farj, and he put his organ into what is besides the farj of a woman. That means he put it like maybe something called in Arabic tafkhiz. They said like ulama explain when a person is young maybe and the wife is out, you make tafkhiz, you put it between the thighs or you put it under the arm or whatever, and there's no inzal, and also will become wajib. So anyway, animal complete front passage, back passage, or will not become wajib. And wama dun al farj, and anywhere besides the front passage and the back passage of a woman, you put anywhere between the thighs, under the arms, or anywhere else, then also the ghusl will not become wajib, right? So jazakallah, that makes perfect sense. But we can touch upon this part again. We just rush this part, but we'll do that part again tomorrow, inshallah.